Hello, hello, hello. How are you all doing? Dash up, what's going on? Magnus Solari, welcome. Alfie, what's going on, my friend? Thanks for popping in. Zach A, welcome. Marlon, great to have you back. Christy Creations, great to have you. All right, so today, these are just little pre-stream warm-ups. I don't often do a pre-stream warm-up, but I mean, here we are. I've cracked open a little program called Blender. So I did this before the stream. And what I want to do is I would like to... I do some warm-ups and stuff like 2D and that kind of thing. I'd like to set up different lighting scenarios. Okay. Then I want to see if we can translate those lighting scenarios onto a character that we have done in one of our warm-ups. So we might do like a top-down lighting situation here. Uh-oh. Come on, don't do it to me. All right. So we got sort of, yeah, more of a top-down sort of deal. And then we might do a little... Whoop. Hold the phone. Where's my other light? And then we might do something like a bottom-up. Something that's a little bit less usual. But just to study and figure it out. So... Adrian El Chapas, welcome. Is it live on YouTube? It certainly is. So if you do want to check it out, for those on Instagram for the full experience, hop onto Twitch or YouTube. Trying to grow that Twitch channel as well. Whoa. So I've just got Pinterest open here. Going through, might do 2 or 3 little head drawings and then we'll use them to do some lighting study to figure out if we can get our values just bang on and get something cool looking. I mean, look at this dude. I like that one. Also, the Pinterest board, I believe, is here. Kelbo Art. You got 2 new art books. What are they? I'm jealous. All right, so we've got this dude. We can have, I just like the shape of his hair. So we can play with this guy. Oh, I like that head shape as well. That's an interesting one. And we're not going verbatim, right? We're not going I just like the shapes. I could draw him as a young guy. I could draw it as a lady. You could do whatever you want. I'm just looking at what's jumping out to me at the moment. If you're picking up what I'm putting down. Poncho, what's going on? Great to have you. Come on, let's give us 2 more. 2 more for us to play around with. Again, we're not going for likeness because that's a whole other thing. What have we got in our normal? So we've got expressions. We've done these before, but there's no reason why we can't redo or reevaluate. So yeah, feel free to grab any bit of reference that you want to join along. Ryan, what's going on? Great to have you back. Well, one is the one you recommended last stream. Hot to Draw by Scott Robertson. Unfortunately, I think you got the wrong book. Unless you mean How to Draw. And in that case, you've got one of the best books. And the other is Color and Light by James Gurney. Fantastic. Very good. Let's see. Let's try that one. That's fine. See what we can come up with. Now I want to kind of push the proportions as well, right? No, you're fine, Kilpel. Anya, can't remember if I said hello, but hello. I might have just then. Sorry, I'm all over the place at the moment. One more. What have we got? Interesting. Could be fun. This one. All right. Some odd characters. Not like they're odd, but like an odd selection of shapes. And we're just going to do sketches, right? We're just going to do line work. Oh, okay, so let me add. Okay, I have saved them to expressions so you can get the same ones. Let's scale them up a bit so we're not drawing on a little 2 pixel canvas. All right. So I like the. Let's start with this dude. I'll give you a couple more minutes to roll in. And when I say this dude, let me throw that into. Oh, it's not going to let me do that, is it? Copy, paste. No, it's not. Scumbag. Let us go back to Pinterest. So I'll throw this in PureRef. Who else did we have? We had this one, and I think she was right down the bottom. This one. Okay. So now they're in PureRef, so Instagram can see. Let's do a cheeky right click. Images, arrange, optimal. All right, so now you all can see, or at least have an idea of what I'm looking at. Cool. Okay, hope everyone's week has been fantastic. Artistic, how you doing? Down Under's pretty good. How's not Down Under? Fat Cappy, welcome back, my friend. Okay, look, I'm gonna just do freeform. We're gonna do freeform today, all right? So we're just gonna count down. 3, 2, 1, go. And we're just gonna play, right? Because what I mentioned earlier, for those that have just popped in, I've got Blender open, and we're gonna do some lighting study. But first, it's going to be like stylized, like on our characters. Let's see if we can really play with these shapes. We're just jumping straight into it. Really, that neck should be coming down this way. I'm looking for fun but simple shapes. We're not getting detailed here. We're trying to do the most with the little list. Why draw lot line when few do trick? That's words to live by. Okay, so he's got kind of like a furrowed brow, but again, we're not going for likeness here. We're going for shapes. We're going for exploration. We are just playing. This is way too small for my liking. Office reference. Well, good stuff, Kelbell. Oh, also, who's here? I'm sure everyone has, or if not most people, Grand Theft Auto 6. We're going to have to take a week off next year. Somewhere around the 26th of May, I'm thinking. Holy frick. Does that look just absolutely amazing? Gonna have to get myself a bloody PlayStation 5 as well. But worth it. Might even do some fan art somehow, which could be fun. But I mean, you like some of the cars and stuff, like you could just park them and study them. Why not play it on stream? Artistic, not a bad idea. Well, I mean, because I'll have like 2 viewers, because no one's here really from watching me play games. But maybe I'll make a different channel just for Grand Theft Auto stream. That's it. Never played any of the GTA games. I'm more of a Baldur's Gate 3. Fair. I'm just interested in it more so for the technical feat of what they've been able to do. Not like Baldur's Gate isn't, but just like looking at the trailer graphically, like holy frick. All right, let's get some of this indication of hair going. I think it should cut in a little bit. See, we're editing as we go as well. We're not sticking to one thing. Doesn't have to be exact. Now here for the lips, even on this profile, the profile is a bloody tricky one, right? Because you could be forgiven for thinking that it's all just 2D, it's very flat. But all of these have depth. All of these features have depth to them, you know? Right, this hair is going back in space. Right, there's overlap. This lip, this top lip is folding over this bottom lip. that's where you can get in a bit of trouble with the profile views pretty easily. And that was one of those like big aha moments for me. I was like, yeah, everything, no matter what, it has volume. All right, I think we leave this guy here because we only want to, we're really trying to set up some ideas for lighting studies, right? So we don't want to spend a month of Sundays on each individual one, but that's one, okay? All right, let's go opposite end of the spectrum, more rounder features. Actually, I'll give you a moment. I'm hopping up out. I'm getting a little bit too excited. I'll give you a moment to get your whereabouts all together. I might have to buy a console because Rockstar hates PC and Microsoft just raised the price of the Xbox. Yo, that's the thing, right? Do you get it now? Or do you wait for maybe if the tariffs go down and that kind of stuff? Like, it's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. All right, I'll give you another minute and then we'll go on to this next one, right? And let me get the reference going. Now, I want to push and simplify here. Push and simplify. I don't know if GTA is a game you could pause, but could stream you playing and then pause it to draw something that inspires. Oh, that's a very good idea, Kelbell. I just mentioned that before, didn't I? You could pause the screen and study it. That's a bloody good idea. Yeah, I like that. I just got to figure out how to capture PS5. That'd be sick. And if like the figures are good as well, like if they're like natural, like, yeah, good idea. I could game and work at the same time. I got a year, so I'm waiting for the price to drop. Yeah, me too. Scroll Reaper, how you doing? Great to have you. All right, let's get going with this little fella. So I'm gonna get his neck direction in first, and his head direction's going this way, so it's kind of like opposites. Yeah, so you don't have to start any particular place as well. Once you understand kind of the direction that you're going, start wherever you want. I started with the bloody neck. Scroll Reaper going well, thanks. Enjoyed Mother's Day with the fam. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, going well, going well. Appreciate you popping in. All right, so I wonder if we can just place the nose kind of there. I'm either going really big eyes or really small eyes. Haven't quite decided just yet. Let's figure out maybe the sockets. Right, so the nose is going to come back. He's got a much smaller nose here. Maybe we go larger eyes and really cut them in. Something along that line. of shape thinking. Now, these are stylized, right? So no, it doesn't have to be 1000% accurate with human anatomy by any stretch of the imagination. Right, so maybe we see a little bit more of the other eye. He does give me like elfish kind of vibes. And his jaw's kind of forward. Again, we're not trying to do bloody likeness, but just something I'm observing. You can choose to do that or not, or you can choose to follow what you're viewing in the reference or not. Just got like a kind of little pouty kind of thing going on. Looking kind of weird at the moment, but that's all right. It happens sometimes. If you're a regular, you will know. Yeah, you were thinking the same thing, Kilbell, yeah. But I think potentially these sockets are too high. There's like there can be a real balance with the stylized stuff where you kind of push it just a smidge too far. So then you got to erase it, reassess, come back to it. But yeah, that's a sick idea with GTA. Going in, pausing the screenshot, because I think they got like, I was watching an ex Rockstar game dev watch the trailer. I've watched the trailer like a million times, but like now I'm watching other people watch the trailer. And like, I think it's the thing that's changed is they got like global illumination now. From what they're saying, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But like the reflections look amazing. Scroll Reaper, my apologies, I can't make any promises with that. Do you have a page where we can tip you? No, I don't actually. I don't. I guess you could. There are super thingies on YouTube, but I don't. I think I've got that enabled. But yeah, no stress with that. I think if I become Twitch partner, then that unlocks some stuff. I don't know. I'm very new to Twitch, if I'm honest. I've got no idea. I've got to stream 7 days in a row, I think. Or not, no, 7 days within a month in a row. 7 days in a month to get Twitch partner. So I might just do that one of these months. But yeah, these streams are honestly me hanging out, chatting, drawing, studying. Whereas I hope you guys watching it can get something from it and have a bit of fun at the same time. This kid looks like the boy in the film Come and See Anya. I haven't seen that. Alright, I'm having a bit too much fun with this face. Let's just maybe get some solid hair going. So we got his skull. Oh, it's a very sad war film. Oh, okay. I don't know. I don't think I've ever chosen to watch like sad films or scary or like horror, like gory, like horror-y kind of films. I don't know. For me, I don't get enjoyment out of it. It kind of like ruins my day. Okay. I don't like. It's not like I don't like horror, but I wouldn't choose to watch a horror movie as like a thing to do. Does that mean I don't like it? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. All right. So we've got this dude. Let's... So I've got a feeling this lady's going to be tricky. We might just do something completely different, but still in the vein of pushing that facial expression. I feel like I get really good inspiration from horror films. I might be missing out. You might be bang on, Anya. And I'm just, yeah, leaving a whole lot of creative juice on the table. Okay. I'll give you guys another minute or so to get situated. So we're going to end up using one of these for our lighting study. For those that have just popped in, so we're going to be using this. Speaking of horror, uh-oh. For those that haven't tried Blender or that have a machine that can handle it, highly, highly recommend it. Because just being able to have a playground of light is almost like you can't beat it for like understanding concepts and that kind of stuff. Thanks, Scroll Reaper. Yeah, just yeah, whip this up before stream. I do want to spend some time actually doing some more complex models, which would be fun. But like, this is just such a good playground to demonstrate like the effect of bounce light. Now look at that. Scooch him right down. Now it's like the moon. You've got nothing in the shadows. And then as we slowly move it up, bounce light looks more natural. Super, super helpful. All right, let's get going with this lady, shall we? Caminantedenubes. My deepest apologies on butchering the name, but appreciate you. Thanks for popping in. Some people don't have Blender. Sketchfab and ArtStation has some good 3D lighting refs. 1000%. Good call, Anya. Very good call. Also, if you've got an iPad, Nomad Sculpt is a fantastic sculpting platform as well. Which I think they're also coming to desktop soon, which is going to be a lot of fun. All right, let me get this on PureF. So the thing I'm focusing on here is seeing a bit of the teeth, right? I might even give it like a real underbite, right? Really push that jaw forward. Let's just see what we can do. I might even, yeah, I recommend trying to push these shapes. Like, I mean, if her head shape is this sort of normal kind of shape here, see if you can push it a little bit. How can you push this? Like, push the jaw way forward. But then also kind of try and keep it feminine at the same time. That's a tricky part, right? We can even exaggerate the neck here. Nose. Eyes. Kind of a creepy looking thing at the moment, which I don't hate. Sheg's Touch, watching from the UK. Great to have you, my friend. Thanks for popping in. Now, just because you got an underbite doesn't mean that her bottom jaw has to be so huge. Now she's got that brow. It's kind of like down. She's got the top bun. You know, I love a good bun to show head direction. For example, here you got a side profile, you whip a bun in the back. Now you've got profile view. You go 3/4, you got a bun, boom. Now you got the 3/4 view. Such a good little tool. This one's more on the top. If you find yourself doing the expression, nothing wrong with that. But just like the profile view, everything has depth to it, right? Everything's a 3D shape. And it's just looking scary. Alright, I think we can knock this back and give it another whirl. See if we can place that nose. Yeah, it does a little bit Kill Bill. It really does. Let's see if we can simplify or even push this forward more. This is where it's the time for you to have some fun. Right, it's not serious. It's push the shapes. This is what these kind of studies are for. Don't be afraid to experiment, because you never know how far you can push it if you never try and push it that far. The time for feeling like everything has to be perfect is not right now. Because I used to have that kind of feeling of I've got to get everything, I've got to know how to draw, let's say, I guess more realistic, or just like know everything that I should need to know about realism before I'm like quote unquote allowed to play with like stylization or anything like that, which is stupid, but it's what I felt like. quite a while. Not poo-pooing realism by any stretch of the imagination, but I reckon there's a lot of value in playing. SLVRTH. Slitherth. Hey, first time here. How do you deal with letting go with pushing stylization and having fun? That in itself is a practice. Right? Because I'm going to guess that you're feeling hesitant because it might not look good. Or it's just something that you're not used to, right? Oh, it's sly. Okay, cool. Cool. So, just like how you may have trained yourself to not let go and to really... Oh, God, look at that eye. Holy shit. Train yourself... Oh, my God, she's looking all different directions. How you've trained yourself to kind of be restrained and maybe like if you're using a lot of reference, right? Maybe you've always just like stuck a lot to the reference. Just like you practice that, there is something to be said about practicing letting go, setting aside time to, like I'm doing now, play with shapes, test things out. Because yeah, I completely understand that feeling of, man, I've worked so hard to get some stuff looking half decent, and now I'm just gonna go and try and push the shapes, and then it doesn't look good, and then it's just, yeah, not a good time. I can empathize with that 1000%. Sarah, great to have you. Glad to hear it. Do you have that brush? I love it. This one, no, but there's one similar on my Gumroad. If you want to check it out. And even doing stuff like this, like using the lasso tool to like really push some of these shapes. Does it make sense? Does it make it look stupid? Yeah, all right, so we then undo it. But just like trying it out, you know? This is kind of a tricky balance expression wise. Sarah, the lasso tool workflow is a game changer. I know, right? I bloody love it. Osvaldo, how you doing? Watching from Brazil. Wondering if today it'd be a day without a cap. Cap fanatic. Not today. Love your life. I appreciate it, my friend. Yeah, no, it's I've gone the cap. Done the cap too many times. We've come too far to not wear the cap. also means that I don't have to do my hair. So it's a nice little hack to just like whip it on before stream. Now we're kind of getting somewhere. I do want to maybe show the bottom teeth here, or some indication of the bottom teeth a little bit. But yeah, letting go, and it's a tricky one, right? I don't know about you guys, but I've been getting this feeling like when I started to do traditional pen and ink stuff. All right, I wasn't used to it, and I sucked. What I had in my head was not what was happening on the page, and it could just be a me thing, but I start getting hot, and then I can feel it, just like, let's not call it rage. Let's call it rage at myself. Just like stuck and feel it like right under my eyeballs. And it's just not a good time because it's so frustrating. And it sucks. But I've been through that a lot of times to know that it's just part of the process. But when I was younger, I used to get so frustrated. So frustrated with that. I feel that all the time. Get used to it, ain't you? Because I still feel it. But it's also, you can, like if you can silver linings it a little bit, you can swap your thinking about it and be like, all right, cool, I'm pushing myself. I'm out of my comfort zone. This is good. It's growth to sound a little bit wanky, but it is. How much younger are we talking about? Oh, I don't know, maybe like a couple of months younger. No, but kind of when I was, let's say, in my early 20s and like mid to early 20s and before. When this wasn't my job and I wasn't used to, I hadn't been through iterations and iterations of frustration and figuring it out, and frustrations and figuring it out, you know? So once you do that a few more times, right, over and over again, and you give yourself confidence that, okay, I've figured it out before, there's like, and I've done this like 6 or 7 times where I'm annoyed and I've figured it out. You start to sort of, you get used to it. You're like, all right, it's just part of the process. It's like you go to the gym, you haven't bench pressed in a while, you bench press and your chest kills afterwards, you know what I mean? But it's like a good thing because something's happened. That's how I kind of think about it. Scroll Leaper, Cash App. My apologies, I just don't have the capacity right now. If I do something like that, I will let you all know, like doing critiques and that kind of thing. But I just can't. I just don't have the capacity at the moment. But no, I appreciate you asking anyway. No bother at all. I keep double tapping my paper like it'll undo somehow. Oh man. This is where, yeah, I think that's where that whole thing of mileage comes in as well, because you've just done it so many times. It's just like a normal thing. You just don't even concern yourself with the feeling anymore. You're just like, all right, yeah, whatever. Because it's your expectations not meeting where you're at the moment, you know? I mean, oh, Ryan, stop it. You're too kind. Yeah, like I feel that feeling a lot more with coding at the moment, because I'm not as proficient at coding as I am with drawing. So I get a lot more of those spikes of, I think it's also adrenaline as well. It's just like, you're frustrated, it's not working out. Try again. Frustrated, not working out. Try again. Why don't I get this? Blah, 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 blah. And then you get to the like, oh, I'm stupid. I can't draw. I can't code. Why don't I know this? Blah, 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 blah. And then you just start spiraling down and down and down and down. But with drawing, I've done that so many times. I'm like, oh, shut up. You're fine. You'll figure it out. I'm starting to get there with coding, but it's, yeah. I like think of my sketchbook as a place to play and fail. No pressure there. No one has to see it. Perfect. Gamer heroine. That is what I recommend to everyone. Is, yeah, specifically with sketchbook stuff. No one has to see it. But I've got content brain, which is a specific kind of disease where I'm thinking about, oh, how could I take a photo of this and share it? And I want to get good enough so I feel okay about sharing this kind of stuff. So there's also that side of it as well. My hands get really tense and hot. Me too. Like, it feels like a heat. It sounds stupid. It sounds ridiculous, but I get ya. Yeah, sometimes struggle with feeling some overwhelm with trying to teach myself how to draw, practicing, and it looks awful over and over. Getting used to feeling unhappy with what I make. I tell myself it's just lines on a page and I can learn this. Bang on, Kelbell. Reduce it down to what it is, right? That is it. Just one thing at a time. I can do it. I don't have to show anyone my bad shapes. I spent my 20s not showing anyone my bad shapes. You know what I mean? So that's a great way to look at it. This was turning out to be my least favorite. Now it's turning into kind of my favorite. She might be the candidate for. Yeah, let's just keep it. Oh, do we do this guy? I can't be bothered. We've got 3 of them. I'm feeling this one actually. If we can figure out or use this as a base for our lighting studies. Yeah. What I do think though, nah. Maybe just like a slight little like nudge. Just a little like boop, boop, boop. Better. Okay. You can imagine like her either pointing her finger, she's like angry at someone, or she's like, why are you so stupid? Like the backwards hand, like why? But cool, all right. I think we take this one. What do you reckon? Gasper Films. I don't know what you've said here. I see Gladiator Tyson. I see Bruce Lee. I see Chuck Norris. What's going on here? Let's whip that through Google Translate. I appreciate the kind words, Gasper. Oh, you're too kind. Okay, yeah, I reckon this one. This feels good because we can utilize he has exalted me in any way. Exalted. Explain exalted, Marvin. I'm stupid. Right, so we're going to have to think about this. All of these planes, how they wrap back up into one another, dip back, and pop out. You know what I mean? So let's crack open Blender. Okay. So now it's Study Town. Ray, what's going on, my friend? Welcome back. Let's make the world a little brighter so we can see what we're doing. Doing that fan art, nice one. The many compliments in a row is a meme from a Spanish YouTuber, Makina Ferreira. Here's a big compliment to say you're the guy. Oh, appreciate it. Hello. Thank you for the translation. I appreciate you. Thanks for popping in. You can use a translation app called DeepL, and you can highlight anything to translate and then double. Oh shit! All right. Beautiful. Exalted, placed at a high or powerful level, held in high regard. Thank you, Kelbell. Did you Google that, or is that straight off the dome? Praise highly, glorify. I appreciate it. How do you feel always motivated with your passion? I don't. That's yeah. I would actually like to get the comments read out for me. I know there's an app where there's a voiceover that does it. That could be fun. All right, so there's things like this, right? If we go to Eevee, which is just a little bit kinder on the GPU, CPU stuff, right? There's all these little things to think about. So the small, this is a point light source, right? The smaller the point light source, the harsher the shadows. The larger it is, the sort of blurrier the shadows. So there's that sort of to contend with. Right, that's just one of the many little bits and bobs to think about. Now, Cycles versus Eevee, for those of you that do want to play around with Blender. I just like Cycles because you get, and my computer can kind of handle it-ish, the reflected light. Because you see if you take it to Eevee, this doesn't look very natural because it just goes into nothingness because there's no reflected bounce light. As soon as you whip it on Cycles, boom, this becomes a light source itself and then sort of kicks back, which is nice. But let's try. I wouldn't mind. Let's get the floor away and the axes. maybe there as like a test. I do want some, so let's have a look at our sketch. So here, I want like a cool shadow underneath the chin. I'd like to show some form of shadow from the nose onto that top lip. And there's going to be some shadow in the eye there as well. So this is really, really great practice for understanding where the light source is, because you might not get the shadow that you want. Like without doing this, you might not realize where the light source has to be to get the shadow that you want. You know, if the light source is directly above, you might think that your light source that you're trying to come across is like directly on top, but then most of the eyes and everything are going to be in shadow, right? So we kind of want to do a bit of a hybrid, maybe even a little bit in front. Something like that. So there's like a really nice kind of fall off with the nose here. There's like some gradients on the side of the head. This side of the head is going into shadow, right? So it's all, there's a lot to be studied here. Okay. Now we're not going to use this verbatim per se, because all the shapes are different. We're going to be using the logic of it, but I would like to change the material. Now I've just updated Blender and I haven't used this in a little while. So if we go, where's my roughness? And let's darken them all down, just so we can see. And that's another thing as well. The light of the local color, or under sampling, viewport max sample, set it to 100 or 50, it will go faster. Legend. Okay, these are the little things that I need to know. Max sample's 100. Set it to 100 or 50. Beautiful. Nice one. Hello from Venezuela. I'm a 3D artist. Oh, legend. I'm jealous. Right off the dome, but also Googled it for the exact meeting. Appreciate the honesty. And Instagram has cut my stream again, you scumbags. Gay, most things have basic text to speech depending on streaming software. I have to check that out because I'm using OBS. Okay, so this is a... Oh, I just thought I lost everything. No, we're still here. We're still here. There's one called Speed Chat. Awesome. I'll have to check it out. But here is a good example of local colors, right? Or local values. The darker the local value, the more specular highlights you're going to be seeing. Right? The lighter it is, the less you're going to see. They're still there. They're still there, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So instead of rendering this all out, I'm just going to take a screenshot. That'll do. Let's start with this and see how we get on with it, yeah? I will throw this in the Discord. If I can open Discord. Throw this little screenshot in the Discord. Where should I throw it? Let's do reference images. That would make the most sense, right? There we go. If you do want to join the Discord, links in the description. You know the drill. But this should give us a nice... Oh, now I've lost my version. Okay. Cool. So now we're going to be using this as our reference. So let's take this. Let's just, now I'm going to be using the Filthy plugin, shout out, you know the drill. Just to get our base shapes going. So we're trying to be fairly accurate with this study, or I am going to be. You do what you want to do. All right, but I'm going to try and be fairly accurate, which should hopefully give it a cool look, where it's like a stylized, cartoony kind of vibe, but with more accurate lighting. Okay, so now we've got a shape, but what I'm going to do first is take a very brief 2-minute break, and I'll be back momentarily. Imagine non-English people here all speak their own mother tongue. Man, it would be, I wouldn't have no idea what's going on. All right, I'll be back in 2 seconds. And we're back. Okay. So we're going to take this in stages, right? First, I'd like to identify maybe the... let's have a look. Let's get on the right layer. Let's identify the local values, okay? Just to start with. So the hair's going to be slightly different than the skin tones and the blah, 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 blah. So, or, here's the thing, you can do it so many different ways. Let's just, so this is going to be more step-by-step procedural rather than just like go for it, go for it. Scar sketch. How you doing? SH, hello, salutations from Argentina. I always miss your streams due to the hours, but I watch the recordings. I appreciate it, SH. Thanks for popping in. Yeah, I've really got to expand my time zones. My stream time zones for sure. Let's throw in some different local values, right? So the hair, I'm just going to make it darker. Okay, and we're going to work within these shapes. All right. Hair. Darker. And we might even be good citizens and name our layers. Hair. Now we've got shirt or whatever. And we're going to call that one shirt. Then this one I'm going to do as just general skin, and I'm going to put that underneath the hair, so that's going to make sense. Skin. And then I might do this one as, say, like lips or mouth. Let's maybe do them as lips and tongue. Yeah, this is where I then give up with naming. Because it's going to be kind of the same or similar local value, right? I'm a fan of your time zone, nearly lunchtime here in Japan. Oh, nice one. Nice one. Yeah, it's about that. Oh, wow. What time is it over there, gamer? It's 11:58 where I'm at. AM. And then let's do, whoa. Let's do like the white teeth here. But they shouldn't necessarily be perfectly white, but for our, yeah, look, that'll do for the teeth. Something that's not exactly white. And then we've got the eyes. Again, not going to be super bright white, but any stretch of the imagination. In fact, it should be a little bit darker than that. Let's make that skin just a little bit. To give ourselves some, like, I'm lowering the values here so I can give myself some room to move value-wise. It's 11:20. Where is it? Is it the 13th? Sorry, is it the 12th over there? Because if that's the case, Japan and Australia are basically freaking the same. That's great. Move chat over to, hold on. I'll just move my layers so you get an idea of what I'm doing. Because, yeah, moving OBS and that kind of thing is annoying. So here's my layers. Sorry. Instagram. All right, so we've got shirt, hair, this one, and this one. Okay, I've given up. And China is too. Yeah, right, okay. Oh, that's cool. I'll have to make it out to Japan one of these days. So let's start with the head. Okay, so we've got this, and we can reference it exactly in Blender where this light source is. So if we were to do the top view, all right, look at where this light source is and how the planes of the head, okay, and if we actually, let's make this 0 roughness. Or hold on, no, the opposite of that, I want full roughness. Is that right? Yes, I want full roughness, so this gives us the matte look. Okay, so this is how I think of it. Matte first. Where is it more perpendicular to these planes? And that's where the brightest parts are going to be. All right. So you've got to sort of almost train yourself to see through that in real life, because there's going to be shiny stuff all over the place. Time travelers, it's 7:28 p.m. Sunday night. Yep. Okay, so now we've got skin. I'm going to use this as a mask. And what we're going to do, I'm going to slowly place in, and what I might actually do as well, which can help a lot, is give myself a darker background. To give myself more context when I'm adding all the lights and the darks and all that fun stuff, right? So we're really just working with black and white at the moment. We're not going too crazy with anything. Oh, I'm not even putting anything down. Okay, so I'm not thinking about highlights at all. I'm thinking about really the transition shapes, or like the gradients that can be created from the light fall off, if that makes any sense whatsoever. All right, so under here is probably going to be lit. And it can also be a good practice as well to do the dark or like the shadows first as well. All right, so that nose is going to be pretty much completely in shadow. Underneath here is going to be in shadow. Now, I don't want you to get caught up on the exact. This is just an example. This here, so without making this a bloody lesson, we've got to translate this onto our shapes that we've created, right? This brow is ducking in a lot more than this is. This has no expression. This has no real form. It's just kind of like a mannequin-y kind of thing. Right, so even here, that's potentially going to be in shadow. Right, maybe even that whole side of her head. And then once you understand the why and the reasoning behind the decisions that you're making, you can then choose to push it and pull it and completely ignore some of this stuff as well. I might even just do this airbrush, right? Just to give myself that gradient to begin with. And we can work that up. Right, so it's all very subtle. This is probably too dark, too light. Sorry, so can slowly kind of add that in. Might even be a shadow under the eye there, depending on how up the cheek is going. TPK, what's going on? Now we could keep it to this one layer. We're currently on the skin layer here at the moment. Which I might do. You also might want to use the lasso tool in combination with the brush. Alright, now we're getting that illusion of that shadow popping down. And just for those that are newer as well, this sketchy kind of thing can eventually turn into something like this. All right, because I do a lot of half done stuff on stream, but this is if I spend a lot of time and I iterate and iterate on something, so you can get it, all these principles that I'm talking about, the values, the just all this quote unquote simpler stuff, or the more base foundational things can eventually turn into this. Mind you, I can see a bunch of stuff that I can improve here. I'm not quite finished with this one, but this, with enough time, can get to sort of a little bit higher level of fidelity, if that makes sense as well. Wind Crow popping in, working on some thumbnails for a personal comic project while listening. Appreciate you popping in, Wind. Hope the thumbnails are doing well. It's amazing to see how fast putting down the values of the shadows makes the drawing come to life. Oh, shadows are my favorite. Shadows are my favorite. And you as a 3D artist, you've got all the tools in the world to like experiment with this stuff as well. Alucinado, my absolute pleasure. Thank you for popping in and allowing me to chat and draw and paint and ramble. So what I might do, it's a little bit of a not a shortcut, but it's like gets things happening a bit faster. I might add this shadow layer that I've done on top and turn it to multiply. No, I'm not going to do that. Never mind. Wrong. I'm just going to start a new layer on top of everything and use multiplier. So now if I want to darken up some of the lip area, you know, even because that could have a cool opportunity for a shadow as well. Like here, the lip area casting potentially a shadow over the teeth. So it gives it even more depth. There's some cooler stuff to still look at. You know? Love a good cast shadow. Like a well-placed cast shadow, you know? My name is Lucy, but my username is a play on words for hallucinating in Spanish. I see, Lucy. I'll try and remember. I'll do my best. But here, the benefit of adding the shadow layer on top of everything is that you can then add the shadows on top of everything. It can just speed up the process a little bit of laying down those shadows. All right, can have a lot of the occlusion shadows in here, even in the ear. Right, the real darkest parts are probably going to be inside that ear there. Might even be some darker parts in here. Don't want to darken up too much. But this is where a good value studies and practice with values comes in handy, because it is so easy to then come through here and accidentally mess up the structure of the face. So if you went and did like a really dark shadow here, right? That you're describing a form there. You're coming through and telling the audience that this is a really flat plane, and it's like coming back into that eye socket, right? If that's what you want to do, great. But you've got the power to make it however you want. So this is where understanding why you're doing stuff really comes in handy. So I think it should be shallower, the side of that brow, or that side of the eye socket, sorry. Right, and then have a slow, gradual sort of transition there. But this is all iterative as well, because there's nothing saying that you can't add a layer, test something out, like the multiply tool, for example. Let's add even a darker transition there on the cheek. Does that look weird? A little bit, right? So then we can come with the eraser, knock it back a little bit, because I didn't hate it completely. All right, we can then come down here. Maybe this whole neck isn't as in light as the head, you know? So it's all back and forth, testing stuff out. Now I think with the line work, what do we do with the line work? We could knock it back a little bit. I mean, if you take it away completely and you start seeing 3D forms, you're in the right direction. You're heading in the right direction for sure. I'm going to make so this is full like contrast sketch. I'm going to go knock it back a fair way, so then I can come in and decide that, okay, this eye is going to be quite a bit darker, right? Whereas the line work that I don't want to be dark, I'm not going to make it darker. It just gives you another little bit of control, if that makes sense. Especially with digital media, if you have an idea, try it. There's no consequence. Poncho, you bloody bang on, my friend. No reason why you can't. See, now I can put in, now I've got some context. Now a lot of this has to do with context, right? Now I've got some context, I can put in that bottom lid. Now knowing that that's now the bottom lid, I could even push the cheek up a little bit more if I wanted to make it really like planar. All right, I still want it kind of planar. Planar meaning that it's kind of very squared off, let's say. Yeah, hopefully with these streams you can see like the variety of different ways that I'm thinking about stuff, different ways that you can achieve certain looks, different processes without going too deep into the details. All right, now we're really kind of like chiseling away and sculpting these forms, right? And this is where some of these, like the understanding of the planes really comes in handy. Like if I wanted to add more of like a gaunt kind of cheek there, I could add just a plane there. And that says a lot. It tells me, okay, if I was to draw a line on her head, this goes in, out, in, jut out, and then back down like that. All right, so we're describing the form. And maybe I don't want it that steep. So maybe we knock it back and just have a tiny little something. And we could even feather it out just a tad. And that's where edges come in and all that fun stuff. And we haven't even started pushing the lights at all. I feel like the lights are just a little treat to then begin just slowly introducing. And we can blend some of these shapes in. And again, this isn't a digital specific thing, values. You want to try this in gouache, buddy, I recommend you do. You want to try this in oils, that'd be a hell of a lot of fun. That's what I want to try and do. Right, if you want it to be a little bit more on the realistic side, the whites of the eyes aren't even going to be really showing that much, right? There might be quite a smooth transition here on the corner of the cheek up. Right. That's exactly, Lucy, that's a very good way of explaining it. That's what it feels like. I'm kind of sculpting the values. Right, and it's all about understanding that wireframe, which you'll be, as a 3D artist, you'd be familiar with. Understanding that wireframe. We can come through and even clean up some of this thinking with the brows. And the cool thing with this is there are answers to the questions that you have when it comes to the light source and how to get things looking the way they should look. There is logic that you can build into the drawing to then reference and check back, you know? Kern. Catching these streams is cool because watching this unfold in real time gives me a compulsion to be working on my own thing at the same time. That's great. That's awesome. Poncho, I recommend all character artists to do an écorché at some point. If you really want to hammer anatomy, you will learn a lot, 1000%. I agree. I've never done one, and I should do one. All right, now we can use what we've got here to inform the rest of the head and the features, right? So we've got brightest point is right around here. Okay, like the light source is kind of like coming this way. So we've got to take that into account with the ear as well. Probably isn't going to be as bright because it's a little bit further away than that forehead. So maybe we knock it down a little bit, but test it out. And that's going to slowly transition down. Right, and even this here, you've got to make up your mind about what is this? Is this a more spherical kind of curved ear thing? Or does it have more planar type of geometry? You know, like does it go a little bit more along the lines of this, where you've got like the top plane here, then the side plane, which might be a little bit brighter here. You know, almost like the side of a cylinder that then blends back in to the side of the head. That's up to you. But you could make it whatever you want using these values. I actually like it a little bit more on that. That side of things. We can then come through and decide to darken up underneath the chin a little bit, underneath the neck. Constantinus, how you doing? Great to have you back. Now we can darken up the inside of the mouth quite a lot to really give it depth. Now this is where if we were doing color, we could have some fun in here. There's a lot of leeway that you can have with the mouth. All right, so we're just building up this illusion. I think what's best for me is to learn in gradual increments. Also warm-ups on lines and shoulder movement with pet. That fantastic. Whatever works for you. That's the the main thing. Because different things are going to click differently for different people. So you look, you think this is pretty bright, right? But you look how bright the brightest white is. This is how we can add those specular highlights and make them really pop, because everything around it is that little bit darker. And there's parts of the face that are going to be more specular, or have more specularity than others. All right? And you might not want to go too crazy with it, but experiment again. All right, so I might put them really, really obviously to begin with, right? Now this is where the reflection of the light source is going to show up. Right, so there might be ever so slightly like someone here. Okay, I'm just going to go nuts with adding some of these specular highlights. All right. And it looks like she's kind of shiny as, but then we can come through and knock them back. Like even on the hair. Alright, so then we can come back with the eraser. Just really subtly knock everything back. Then we can come over the top again if we need to, or if we want to. Yeah, so I find breaking down a complex subject into multiple simple concepts, adding complexity, then recombining them is how I best learn as well. Me too. I personally like learning things in context and instead of like in isolation. This might even have a little bit. There's something going on there, and knock it back, and then we can bring it back again if we want. I wish that Clip Studio Paint had the full screen feature that Photoshop has. I'm not sure what full screen feature you're talking about. We could really make this plain here. Hoppy, what's going on? Maybe means to... Oh, okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, this one. That is a nice little feature. Mind you, I never use it, personally. Okay, let's go back through with the multiply and see where we can refine some of the shadow shapes. Whoop. I think it's useful if you have a smaller screen tab. True. That's a very good point. Yep. I appreciate it, Hoppy. So let's really knock in some of these dark values. Pavi Darkin. Great to have you. I know clicking tab removes the UI and you can just click tab for that. So you can just click tab for that on Clip Studio? Maybe. I still think that your course on Procreate is worth it. Got it on sale, but I'm lazy. A bit to understand. Appreciate it, Constantinus. That's all right. Well, you got it. So... now you can decide to really pump in some of these darker values where you see fit. Oh, okay. Oh, I got no idea, Constantinus. Even with the eye, to give the eye just a tad bit of depth, you can do... So this is where you can get real subtle with your values. Sorry, it looks weird with the pixels. So here you can give that illusion of depth with the iris. And you can tighten this up as much as you want. You could render the living crap out of this and make it look like a 3D model. I don't like doing that as much. I mean, it is fun to just go absolutely ham with it and go crazy. But also at that point, I've also got the skills to sculpt this as well. My next challenge is doing this kind of stuff traditionally, to really spend some time and figure out how to get similar effects. It's all the same concepts, all the same fundamentals, which is good. Stabilizer, what would you do if when you okay... What was that? Stabilizer, I got no idea what you're talking about, my friend. One little thing to think about, particularly with the face as well, is to make, like, even create shapes around, no, to identify shapes of the face and work within them. For example, here, to break down the complexity, since we're talking about breaking things down into smaller kind of bite-sized chunks. Like, let's say this whole section here, if you're getting a bit overwhelmed with all the values and that kind of stuff, we can just highlight this and think of it in isolation and slowly make that transition down the lip, you know. Maybe that's a little bit too dark there. We can right, and then you've got a real smooth transition because it's all the same. It all makes sense because we're thinking about the light source the same, but just chunking it down into sections can really help as well. Lucy, I'm loving how it is turning out. This is like the third time I catch your stream, but today I set reminders for every Sunday night. Tonight's stream inspired me to draw alongside you every Sunday. I appreciate it. Thanks for the stream. I'll catch you in the next one because I'm falling asleep. You have a good night. Thanks for popping in. Now, one thing, the next layer of understanding with this kind of stuff is bounce light, right? This nose is going to be illuminated, particularly on this side, a fair amount. So we can do something like this. And just add just a bit of that bounce light to make it look a little bit more realistic. Yeah, things like creases, something to think about. With the idea of occlusion shadows. So where the light is going to find it really tricky to get in. It's just going to bounce around, and then can't escape. Appreciate you helping out, Constantinus Gamer. A little bit of Clip Studio tech support. Now we could even push this a little. It's a little bit unrealistic, but we can even show you the top teeth a little bit more. We can get away with it a little bit because this might be a slight bit of a light source that could bounce up underneath to highlight the teeth a little bit. I haven't done this kind of painting in quite a while, which is good fun. So we can get back to it. Ben, is grey a colour that's used for relaxing the eyes for long drawing sessions? I have no idea. Couldn't tell you. Grey is just neutral. Well, it depends. Grey doesn't have to be neutral, but... Grey backgrounds are good for checking value, especially the relative value compared to the background. True. Now we can do stuff that I like to do is add like flyaway hairs. Let's even. Let's make sure that we're getting the curve of that head feeling right. And to really sort of make the other side of the head pop a little bit more, let's just add a quick little rim light. Never a bad idea. But again, we've got to think about the structure. Of the planes. We don't just willy-nilly want to go just throwing whatever rim lights here, there and everywhere, you know. Would be interesting to see this stylized shape style mixed with Art Nouveau. That could be fun. I want to kind of mix it with a whole bunch of stuff. Like, I wouldn't mind playing around with anime a little bit. Like, what does that even look like? I couldn't tell you. And we can group all this together, duplicate it, get everything, duplicate. Now it's all one, so then we can come through and clean some stuff up. Sugar. Hi, do you have any tips on brush sizes? I find my small 18 by 12 pixel and hard to put details, and when using large brush it's hard to draw. I find it uncomfy with large brushes. I guess it's using the tool for the job, whatever you're trying to do, right? Large brushes for larger areas, smaller brushes for smaller details. That's the way I like to work with them. So this is where I wanted to clean it up in here. For me, the hardest part is getting smooth brush strokes with a harder brush type like the classic round brush. Yep. I still need to work on my pressure and tapering. Look, me too. I mean, I'll use a soft round when I need to get a soft value, soft edge. You know? Nothing wrong with that. Because yeah, it can be quite tricky to get the similar effect with like a hard round brush. Like if we jack the hardness up completely. I mean, it can be it can be done. One thing as well that can help if you want really subtle changes. Really knock down that opacity And then that just takes a lot more strokes to build up the values, right? But it's very, very subtle, but it gives you a lot more of a subtle look. Sugar bees, what's going on? Brain's been braining. Tends to do that. That's fantastic. You're doing a lot of oil painting. I'm glad. Constantinus. Ben, when applying your grays value, do you make new layers as not to affect the previous layers? Should I use the eraser with low opacity to make those gradient effects? Again, it's really like a means to an end. You can do this any way that you feel like. I tend to, like if I'm adding a new layer, it is to not affect the layers below, to test things out. But then also, I can merge them all down at a certain stage and then just paint directly on top as well. So don't feel like there's just one way that you have to go about doing this. Like it's really what you're trying to do should be kind of the first thought. What's the goal? What are you trying to achieve? Then from there, making the decision on how you're going to tackle that problem, if that makes sense. I would love to have a cap with an Australian team. Should get a Adelaide Crows cap for the AFL. That I approve. You're really going out of your comfort zone with the new oil painting. Feel like I might be finding myself more in art. That's fantastic. That's the fun of it, right? Because there's times where you just do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, which is cool. You know it. It's safe. But then you're like, oh, I can do this other thing now. And it's kind of looking pretty cool. Yeah. It's good fun to experiment. It's almost a necessity, I think. For me, at least. See, like that super subtle transition there, that's done with like an ultra low opacity and pen pressure as well. And just going across and across and across and across. Which gives you that super sort of like smooth effect. Yes, your favorite basketball team. Thanks for popping in, Kel Bell. You have a great night. A whole bunch different paper types into your sketchbook so I can jump around media. That's fantastic. And I enjoy playing. Digital is for work, traditional is for play. That's wicked, gamer. That's very, very cool. Ishan, welcome back, my friend. I recently got my first set of alcohol markers and I'm starting to try them out. I was so happy when I learned I could just add a grey tone on top to add a natural shade to the colour underneath. That is very cool. That is a very good feature of alcohol markers, definitely. And the cool thing here as well, speaking of that, Once you've got all of these values in place, you can then, if you wanted to add like a shadow across the whole thing, you could do that with the multiply layer, and it will look pretty natural. You know, as if she's like looking through a window, or there's something blocking. You've just got to make sure that you follow her, the kind of the planes of what's going on. But you could also do this kind of deal where she's looking through blinds maybe. I don't know, this could actually look pretty horrible, but it kind of looks like she's got face paint, but you get the idea, right? And you could have this like roll off. You could do all sorts of stuff, right? That's the power of digital and just being able to test and change and blah, 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 blah. Scroll Reaper. Okay, you got quite a lot more followers on. Yeah, Twitch is it's in its infancy for me. We'll get it up there though. Don't mark my words. Funny seeing people go, oh, it's time to go to bed because they're very likely American. I know, right? Sugar, I love watching your stream, especially because you look like a DreamWorks or Disney character. You look like a star. I get that a lot. I don't understand it. I don't see it. But I do get that a lot. Look, I reckon we've come to an okay place with her. There's parts of it that look like a little bit off to me. Like, I don't know about the nose is kind of annoying me a little bit. Either we go big nostril or we go smaller. I don't know. She reminds me a little bit of like a, what's the word? The Grinch. One of the Grinch characters. A Whoville resident. Does a little bit, which I'm not loving. But it is what it is. But look, we're going to start winding down, I reckon. Some light little plugs, nothing too heavy. If you like what you've seen, check the links in the description. Got an 8-hour 10 chapter walkthrough tutorial available right now. Comes with a 40-page PDF field guide. and some 3D models. Keep a lookout for new courses dropping at some stage. I'll let you know. Some proper courses, which I'm hoping, the goal of what I'm hoping to put out is basically everything that I wish that I had when I was starting this stylized journey. So keep an eye out for that. The Filthy plugin that I'm using as we speak. Check it out. Links in the description. You're smart people. You know what it's all about. And yeah, the course platform. We were meant to be doing a private launch last week, but that's been pushed. So I will keep you up to date on all the goings on when it comes to Drea, the new course platform that I'm super excited about, and all of my educational content is going to be on there. And I love a good glasses. That's not even proper English, but you know what I mean. Something about just popping glasses on people. I've got to pop some glasses on me as well. I'm getting glasses on Wednesday. I don't have terrible eyesight, but I think working on screens all day for the last however long has done something to them. Should you have more of these kind of vibes? Oh God. Should you have an eye patch? Like these kind of like boom boom. We love proper courses. I hope you do. You take 3 plugins. I don't even know if you can get 3 plugins at one time. Kern, every time I've attempted a grayscale to color painting, by the time I've got colors in a hard light layer, it seems I can't get the colors to not look flat and boring. How do I not do that? Don't just use one layer mode. Do a combination of color layer modes, hard light, soft light, multiply, right? Use a, and use a lot of them. I was going to come up with some. I had an orchestra of layers, and then my brain was like, that sounds factually incorrect and it sounds a bit wanky. So just use a lot of them. Catch you later, Ryan. Did you already pick the frames? No, it's going to be some very basic ones to start with. I've just got to, I would love, like, if I was going to pick the frames, I wouldn't mind like the John Lennon ones and just get like a, just rock those on stream. Love the second. Yeah, I like the second glasses. But then we've got to, now, when you add the glasses, you can't just stop there. We've then got to add the shadow, because they are a 3D object, how do they sit on the face? Is this part actually directly on top of her cheeks and the nose, or is it just sort of hovering there? You know? And oftentimes you've then got to take into account it gets a little bit brighter because it's it's refracting the light in a different way. So here might be a little bit brighter. And then the actual frames themselves, and not just pure black. So then you can make sure that, okay, up here could be a little bit lighter, catching the light a little bit more. The bottom of the frame here might be catching a lot of the light. But then underneath here, so you can make a more 3D feeling, blah, 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 blah. You can just keep going and going and going and going and going. Went from a battle-hardened warrior to a cutthroat executive. Is there a difference? For working on a screen, you should get glasses that have a yellow or orange tint. I agree. I can't use that when I'm doing color stuff though, but yeah. If you buy Ben's course, you get a 5-pound bag of Haribo. No. Fake. That is, what's the thing? False advertising. And that's not from me. I promise, no Haribo anything. My new frames are the construction worker frames. Those sleek ones that bend around the sides. Wicked. Yeah, I know game it. Yeah, glasses are bloody fun. Adam, what's going on? Just in time for me to leave. You did okay. I see your game plan, Sugar Beats. All right, look. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure. Something a little different, but hopefully shows that the principles that I talk about with these like faster little studies that we do, you know, they might not seem as interesting. I love doing them personally, but they might not seem as interesting, but they all sort of meld together. All right, so we started off with this. Let's actually let's do a quick little recap, shall we? Oh no, did I just bake the glasses in? Let's just maybe not do that. So I think, yeah, we started with this. This dude, shapes, right? Something to use or something to experiment with this lighting setup here, using the references, some sketches. Then we hopped into Blender to get our lighting set up, took a screenshot, then we ended up here. Actually, let's call it with a white background, I reckon. Or do we go like ultra, we just go boom, make it pop even more? Either or. But yeah, catch you later, Adam. Add more glasses. profile nose dude reminds me of the Hellfire dude from Notre Dame. Oh, I think I might know who you're talking about. Appreciate your artistic. All right, with that, thank you again. It's always a pleasure. For those that are in chat, you're bloody legends. For those that aren't in chat, you're also bloody legends. This happens every week. 10:45 a.m. Australian Central Daylight Time, which I believe is 4:30 or 5, around thereabouts PST, the day before. So I'm Monday right now. For you PST people, you'd be Sunday. So Monday, Australian Central Standard Time, 10:45. Sunday, 4:30 PST. All right. Thank you once again, Sugar Beats. I appreciate it. Thanks, buddy. I like it. The Australian is rubbing off on you. All right. You have a great rest of your week. Have a great rest of your weekend for those that are in the past. And yeah, I will catch you in the next one. Goodbye for now. Could not access the specified channel or stream key. Okay, well.